Hi everyone, Nick here from 45 Degrees Sailing. Welcome to our review of the Kufner 54. We just recently went to the Biograd Boatshow. We saw a new model Kufner 54 there, which was really nice. We filmed a little bit of that. We've also just spent a week on board a Kufner 54 sailing around Dalmatia with a family of 6. So we thought we'd combine these two experiences and give you as much information on the Kufner as we could. Let's start at the bow. The anchor system was interesting. It held absolutely fine. The anchor, the chain, and the capstan operated perfectly. The only issue we had was it was mounted so close to the bow of the boat, and the bow was very blunt on the Kufner 54, and we found the anchor really wanting to swing and hit the bow of the boat. We're pretty careful when we bring up our anchor, and we still managed to bang into it a couple of times. Noticed a lot of chipping and damage on the bow of the boat from previous use, so I'd be aware of that. Coming back, there was a lot of space on the top decks. It was really nice. Even with the tender, the dinghy tied on the bow, we still had plenty of room there to really enjoy it. We love the lounging space underneath the boom, and really cool place to hang out, and it was used extensively by our guests, so that was really cool. Loved to see it there. Coming down through the cockpit, there's generous space in the cockpit. The table in the middle, the cockpit table, is very wide at the points, so it made, once the wings were folded out, it made a lot of space for laying out food, which was great. Also had a fridge unit inside the table there, which we used to store fresh water in, and it did actually work very well keeping it cold. When I first saw it, I was like, don't really need it, but it was actually very beneficial throughout the week. The swim platform was great. It has a big swim platform at the back, folds down, and really nice way to interact with the boat. The other thing I liked about it is it was a little way off the water, probably almost a foot. So it meant when we were underway on the boat, if we were towing a surfboard or interacting with the boat somehow while we were moving, it didn't need to be raised up. It was high enough so that the surge of water wasn't affecting it. So that was actually really cool. The swim ladder was a hook-in swim ladder, as we get with open transom boats, and it was not the best. It was solidly fixed, but it was very hard for people that weren't as strong in the upper body to really get up and over, because the platform's so big that there was nothing else to reach to help you up once you'd gotten yourself up to waist height there. So I would like to see this in many different boats, is to develop more handhelds or a different system so that there is more to hold on to as you come up further on the ladder. Okay, sailing. Sailing on the boat felt really smooth and really solid. It was nice. I felt like the boat was a little bit under canvassed at times. The genoa we had on board was probably no more than 110, 115%. So I felt like it could have carried more and it could have held more quite easily. In saying that, in about 15 knots upwind, it was perfect. It was a really nice blade jib genoa to cruise up, good speeds. We were getting 6s and 7s and 10 to 12 knots, and we were getting 8s and 9s just off the wind in about 15 to 18 knots. So I really enjoyed the boat sailing. It had an in-mast furling main, and as you know, it's not my favorite setup, but at the same time, the boat was balanced and it was really easy for the charter, so it was a really good system. Motoring speed was really great. We found you guys are fun. Absolutely fun. We found that we could get about 8 to 9 knots without stressing the engines. That was towing a surfer and really enjoying the boat. So engine speed was great. I did find that it was very heavy under the helm. Hey Tash. Really heavy under the helm. This could have been because the prop's quite close to the rudder. I saw that when I was underneath the boat. Also, it's a big, solid 3-blade prop, so it had a lot of torque. Even just in idle, when we were maneuvering, just clicked into forward or reverse, it had a lot of pull on the boat. So needed to be very careful of that when maneuvering. But other than the little bit of the shake in the helm, that little bit of heavy helm, it was all really nice. Okay, let's talk about downstairs. Downstairs was really nice, and the layout we had on our Kufner was perfect for the family we had. It had 4 double cabins and 1 bunk cabin. Now, the young girls, they stayed in the bunk cabin, which was perfect, absolutely perfect. I wouldn't recommend putting adults in those cabins, just on general, but everything else was great. We'll get on to the newer model layout, which I'm not so much of a fan of. That's later. 2 heads in the forward, 2 heads in aft. The aft cabins were cramped and they were hard to stand up in and move around in, and all of the swing doors hitting each other made it really hard to interact getting in and out of the toilet, and 2 people in an aft cabin, standing up in an aft cabin was hopeless, absolutely hopeless. Once you're in bed, fine, lots of room there, but the manoeuvring around, that was hard. With the heads, the storage in the heads was an issue, not because there wasn't enough, because it was all up above head height. So for the young ones, they couldn't actually reach to get any extra toilet rolls, or if they were storing toothbrushes, whatever up out there, they couldn't reach them. And also if an adult's sitting on the toilet in the swell, they couldn't reach it either. So that was a bit of an issue given how much space there was in the head. Biggest gripe about the heads was the seacocks came down to a central point underneath the main passageway. Now to get to those seacocks for the holding tanks was really painful. I had to lift up the floorboard, slide it out of the way because it was full width, and then get down on my stomach and reach right under. Now, if that wasn't enough, the particular situation we had, those valves were very stiff, so the whole interaction under there was not all that pleasant given it's a holding tank area as well. So that, for me, needs to be changed. The nav station was really good. Heaps of space in there, lots of storage, and a lot of space to really lay out a chart, a full-size chart, which is rare these days, so I really liked that. And on top of that, there were 2 sitting areas for the 6-8 of us on board that day. The 2 sitting areas were great. We were in some colder months of the year, so a lot of people were downstairs interacting with the space, and that was really good to have those 2 sitting areas. The galley was absolutely fine. It was a hook galley, lots of space in there really for 1, maybe 2 people to work, but mainly just a 1-person galley. I prefer this situation to the new model of Kufner 54, which we're going to get on to. Probably the last one we're going to check out today is this Kufner 54 behind me. Now we have just been on a Kufner 54. Really enjoyed the boat, it sailed well. There were certain things about it we didn't like, so we're curious to see whether the new design has not rectified those, but just built on them and see if it's any better downstairs. Cushion area, and the guests loved it. Just been able to hang out here when we're sailing, anchored, anytime, with a blanket if it was cold, in the sun. It was really cool. The other thing that we did have installed on that boat was rails here. We could put sunshades out and tie them to the rail if we weren't sailing and people needed it. So for in the heat, that was a really good feature just to be added to the side. But we'll have to go downstairs now, have a look what's changed. These heads are actually looking a lot nicer than the ones on the other boat. They've obviously upgraded here and thought about it a bit more, which is good. Yeah, they are, but they're double bunk. This one's double bunks. They're both sets of bunks. In the other model, we had a double cabin here instead of bunks, which I thought was a really good layout, especially for more adults on the boat as opposed to children.
They're bigger bunks.
Yeah, but the bunks are larger, aren't they?
Yeah.
The master cabin's the same. I'll get in here so you can get past. The same.
Everything. The puppies are the same.
But the doors are all slide and they feel a lot nicer. These heads are a lot better, much better. And there is a lot more standing space in here now. It's not as cramped, I'm not bashing my head. You've still got this here, but obviously now you've got this room here to stand, so really nice. And the other one's actually a little bit bigger with its deeper pocket in there. So much improvement, still not quite my design. But these sliding doors in boats are much better. As long as they've got good locks and they're not going to fall out, they are so much easier to deal with than swing doors everywhere. Carignan. system, but I don't like the idea of that throttle control being up on the deck there. I use that to walk through a lot, guests walk through there, and I think it'll probably get kicked and broken, so not sure about that. Okay, so the 2017 model that we saw at the boat show that you've just been watching, that had an upgraded galley, which the new design is this one here, which has that long galley running through the center, and your guests can sit, or your diners can sit on the starboard side there behind the galley like they're sitting in a bar, and then of course the chef or whoever's cooking, preparing food is then right in the center of the yacht, which is very strange. This is the first of this design that we've come across, and basically long and short of it is I don't like it. If someone's preparing food, which is a large amount of the day when we're chartering yachts, that means the whole forward center companionway is completely blocked by that person preparing food, a constant shuffle around. It just doesn't seem practical having to open cupboards into the passageway. I don't like it. I like the old design much better. I do like what they've upgraded with the cabins, the sliding doors. The heads are much tidier. I didn't get to pull the floorboards up to see about the seacocks, but I'd imagine that a newer boat would have a better system, but I don't know that one. Other than that, Kufner 54, we enjoyed our week on it. It was a great boat. Definitely not my favorite pick, but I probably would use the boat again if I was faced with that situation. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like on YouTube. Any comments, we'd love to hear them. And if you have questions about the boat, let us know. Subscribe to the page if you want to see more of this, and we will see you next time. Thanks.